In this video, we're going to talk about one of the main themes that continuously shows itself throughout some of the movie's most pivotal scenes. My name's Topher Leon. Let's jump into it. Now, Saving Private Ryan is known for having some of the most intense battle scenes coupled with some of the most gut-wrenching character deaths, which means so much of the thought process behind what's actually happening in the plot gets lost to those spectacles. Which brings us right to the scene where they attack the MG42, the machine gun nest at the radar, and then essentially the medic dying right thereafter. And before we jump into that scene, I think we can all agree that Wade's death there is one of the most just saddening, disheartening, heartbreaking moments of any death in any movie. Especially after we had seen him time after time stand up for what is good, stand up to his teammates, his squad mates, and let them know what they were doing wrong. It just felt like his loss was just such... But this scene is one of the more debated aspects of this movie. People talk about whether or not they should have just bypassed it, whether or not it was in there right, whether they should have gone and attacked it like they did and maybe not have lost Wade. And that is the question. What is more important, winning the war, the mission, or saving your men when you can? If you're a captain who believes your sole responsibility is the safety of your men, you're going to bypass that machine gun nest because why would you do that? It's not necessary. Your main bottom line is protecting your men, and attacking that unnecessarily exposes them to danger. But if you're a captain who believes every dead enemy is a step closer to the war being over, then automatically you're going to think taking out a massive MG42 nest like that in that field with already dead soldiers around it is going to be a massive step forward to winning the war. So it really comes down to what decision you would make as the viewer. Which ideology do you adhere to? However, please let me know in the comments why they just don't have the sniper Jackson go find a specific flank or angle to just shoot the main machine gunner, or just patiently wait until one of the machine gunners goes to use the bathroom and then just attack then. Were they on a time crunch? That is one just element to the movie that I feel like is the biggest hole. Is there a specific reason Jackson just couldn't have relocated and taken them out? Why were they in such a rush, right? Like, it wasn't as if they knew Ramel was about to be attacked and that bridge was in danger. They had no idea Private Ryan was even there. So there was no rush per se, other than just him potentially dying. But they didn't really care to find him alive. They cared more about just finding whether or not he was alive so they could go home. And there again is one of those situations, man versus the mission, but this time in a different context. The scene with Caparzo really doesn't get enough credit for what it really means, what it really shows about his character. We all know Vin Diesel always plays the big muscly guy, in this case probably the guy from the country who's grown up with really good morals, wants to do the right thing in every situation, wants to do what he can, where he can, and him trying to take that girl to the next town is an opportunity for him to do some good in otherwise a world that's just horrible right now. He wants to do something beautiful in a place where it seems like all hell, and that's why he's so adamant about doing this, because he feels helpless. All he can do is kill people. They're just fighting a war, but here's something they can do to proactively save something, do something. But at the same time, the captain who's using realism versus the idealism that Caparzo's using is telling him, dude, we are on a special mission. We can't be doing this. But this also is a horrible reminder that no good deed goes unpunished. Then there's Upham, who is the most frustrating, hated character, I think, in any war movie ever. And what's so frustrating about him is that he tells Tom Hanks, Captain Miller, right off the bat, essentially that he's going to fail them. He is adamant about how useless he is, how he has very minimal training, how he's never fired a weapon. And in that moment, and I know that he doesn't have time to find someone else, but it's just the beauty of the writing here. He told us that something bad was going to happen if he's relied on. The moment we found out he was the ammo runner for those 30 cals, we should have known that something terrible was going to happen. But they set you up. They got us thinking that they were all bonding. That Upham was becoming one of the guys. He was sharing the music. His knowledge was something that they were appreciating. It was beautiful. And we thought, okay, Upham is going to save the day. Wrong! He doesn't go upstairs. And in those 30 seconds, he sits in the stairwell. Our boy Mellish has one of the hardest to watch deaths in all of movies. I mean, do you not see the theme in this movie so far? There are just so many greatest of all times in this movie. That scene is probably the only time I have to kind of cover my eyes watching him die. It's just such a tough scene, and knowing that Upham could have just walked up there and either shot the guy in the back. I know that the bullet might have gone through and got also Mellish, but at least made him get off him. But that truly is one of the hardest moments to watch in cinema history. And this is where it's interesting. This is where I get a little confused, right? Was him killing the guy that they let go after the radar tower, was that supposed to be a redemption arc? Or was that supposed to just double down on how much of a coward Upham was? And I talked to my dad about this, and he said it was probably bringing the story full circle. He killed the guy that he should have killed earlier, but at the same time, for me, it's like, well, he also did just shoot an unarmed guy, which was against his own principles. So maybe it's showing that war eventually does break everyone. But we do know he does see that guy shoot John, Captain Miller, in the chest on the bridge, and we see him have a moment where he's like, you son of a gun, you son of a gun, I let you go, we let you go. And then that brings us to the question of, would you have let that soldier go after that battle, after Wade had died? And there again is one of those situations, man versus the mission, but this time in a different context. You have a real man. He might be German, he might be the enemy, but at the same time, he's a real man. He's a human. But there is a mission, and if you let him go, there's a very good chance he will find other soldiers, rejoin back up with them, and then shoot you in the chest on the bridge later in the movie. I personally, in that situation, would I really be able to just take someone's life like that? Probably not, right? But
Betty Boop, what a dish. Betty Grable, nice scams. I say, can you see?
In my mind, it's like, you got to take him out. You got to take him out because you know there's so many Germans around and he's going to eventually get back in line. But that again is one of those man versus the mission. The mission's to win the war. Kill as many of the enemy as you can. Or man, save a man. Is man more important? That man, at the end of the day, he lost. The battle was over. Send him off. He's probably a father, a son, an uncle, a brother. But hey, we know what happens later. I love how Private Ryben kept talking about how lucky he was, and that was once again, when a movie tells you something, believe them. When he drives off in the Little Rabbit to try and set the ambush for the Panzer, for the Tiger tanks, in that moment, it's like, well, that guy's probably gonna die because that's a very dangerous situation mission he's going on. But when he says that, he ends up being the one that lives. And again, this movie tells you what's gonna happen. Most good movies tell you exactly what's gonna happen before they happen. You just have no idea they're telling you. Remember, in movies, there are only so many scenes, so many words they can choose, and so every one that they pick has some type of meaning. Very rarely, or in a good movie, not ever, do they put something in the movie that doesn't have some type of weight or meaning or lead to something in the future. All right, that's enough yapping for one video. Overall, this movie is truly awe-inspiring. It makes you feel proud to be an American, proud to be a human that was a part of standing up to what was happening back then. It's incredible. And obviously it makes you realize that really was the greatest generation as what they accomplished. And it's no wonder that those people who were all in that war built the world that we're in today. But it's also no wonder all of those people had PTSD and were abusive to their children, which created all the mental problems we have. Well, that's another conversation to have. I'm just kidding, dude. I appreciate you all. As always, go out there and do something great. And then come back and watch another video later, like just a couple more. They're pretty good. We're doing things here. Hit that sub button? Yeah, hit the sub button. I forgot to say that earlier. And with that, let's take a moment to thank all the troops, all the soldiers who gave their lives, especially there on D-Day, to create the world that we live in today.